Everyone has to understand, you guys are operating businesses in a residential neighborhood.
I currently manage 5 units here in Ventnor. My company, we have about 28, 29 rentals across the shore.
So those people that own those Airbnbs in your neighborhood have in fact ended up hurting your property value. Those trillions of dollars became sloshing around. So people got their hands on it and said, well, we'll just pump up the Airbnb.
Does the law even matter if people don't enforce it? And can you talk about what the hell is up with these politicians exactly?
Well, if you're a politician and you allowed these Airbnbs, and if you were so concerned about maintaining the real estate value, the house value from which real estate taxes are generated, well, if you were so concerned, you should never have allowed it. In other words, you're culpable in allowing devaluation. So as long as people are going to start suing their HOAs for not enforcing and keeping these Airbnbs out of the subdivisions, you may as well turn around and sue the politicians in your district who allowed it to take place. These politicians have done this. Again, people don't understand. This is an operating business. The problem here is that we've got so much inventory from the Airbnb product, be it for sale on the market and or short-term rental, which isn't generating the money. It all stems from a bad business concept that was never tied to economic reality. Well, that doesn't work in short-term rentals. It's complete nonsense. The theory is, well, I can get more money on a short-term rental than I can on a long-term. Yeah, good luck with that, because so far it hasn't panned out. There's the odd property where it will work, but that is something that's very unique. This is an operating business, and this is the third time that I said it in this video. It's not just enough that Airbnbs in a subdivision are going to drag the values of that subdivision down. You have new product, new housing in today's world promoting the values up. You have the pressure of people losing their homes. When they printed money and pushed trillions of dollars into the system, it is what has caused the inflation on the federal side. Then the central appraisal districts on every single property owner, because what they have truly done is said, we have a budget, we have to meet the budget. We really don't give a damn of state law, federal law, we don't care. That they are taxing the inflation. The inflation was caused by printing of trillions of dollars. We don't care what the property value is, we're just going to hit a budget by overtaxation and overvaluation. And it all stemmed from the Federal Reserve printing money.
DWIs, alcohol-related disturbances, fights, noise complaints, and
So what do you attribute that to? What's the?
I can tell you, I think, be honest with you, I think it's the short-term rentals. I think the college crowd is over that Memorial Day weekend. We had 18 motor vehicle crashes. 3 resulted in DWI arrests of persons that were under the age of 25.
And look, Brigantine is really having a problem with it. They've got a whole core of their community that homes were built for short-term rentals where they have 8 bedrooms in them. Yeah. It's problematic. They just introduced, I think they just adopted an ordinance that will significantly pull that back. They're going to do a cost per, I forget, I think $25 per bedroom fee, because they're going to have to hire people to get in there and do that. They estimated their costs in the $500,000 range to manage the short-term rentals over there. They're leaning towards an ordinance that would designate them as commercial uses,
right,
and then create the locations in the city that they would be conditionally approved
to operate under. Correct. Yeah.
And then that way you can change the parking demand. 2 of the biggest issues is noise and overcrowding. And then the third one is parking.
Right.
So the problem, if the home is designated as residential, you're under the residential site improvement standards state passed. The maximum number of parking spaces you can require for a house is 3, no matter how many bedrooms. That's now not a residential property. That's a short-term rental, commercial use. You can set your own parking standards. It's not a residence. So if we get to that point, because I'm going to be working with Vincera and their team over there to write that ordinance for the planning board. They used a lot of our stuff in their ordinance. And then we're going to probably use some of their stuff if we need to. It's open communication, so that information is helpful.
They issued several violations.
Good.
which was more in their purview than mine. So
That's
yeah.
how to manage it. I mean,
Yeah.
And you
that's
can't
how-
manage it unless you can measure it. So we have this kind of data.
Correct.
It kind of puts us in a point where is it a problem? It feels like a problem because some people have the quality of life in their block might be impacted, but it's in perspective, it's not as huge a problem as we might think.
But I think the rental type market, and it's been slowly declining, like the summer rentals. I see a lot of homes with signs on them for summer rental. They're not there like they used to be because of Airbnb and VRBOs. The short-term rentals have really kicked that market to the curb, sort of, where you would take it all summer. It changes the dynamics of the area because it's very transient, where before you would have many homes go from Memorial Day to Labor Day with the same people in the neighborhood, in the restaurants, on the boardwalk, on the beach. You would have groups like that. Now you don't have that. Now it's more transient than ever, with people coming in for weekends and weeks and in and out.
Everyone has to understand, you guys are operating businesses in a residential neighborhood.
I currently manage 5 units here in Ventnor.
Everyone has to understand, you guys are operating businesses in a residential neighborhood.
My company, we have about 28, 29 rentals across the shore.
Okay, so I mean, I can just tell you because I do this in all over the country.
Everyone has to understand, you guys are operating businesses in a residential neighborhood.